Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. She is sponsored Lunish Basar Yakashol now. Basitzchok. We're holding Makos Daf Yutes. We're starting in the last few words of the Yechezkel base. He brings the sheet that we saw on the end of the previous daf. When does bikurim become kohen's food? That a zar who eats them is chayam misa. Says the Gemara, Mishiyiru Pnei Abayis. Once it gets to Pnei Abayis. What is Pnei Abayis? Rashi says Leil when it comes to the Azor. The Rambam says when it comes to Yerushalayim. Let's leave that as that machlekes. Sibul Kiban, who's like this goes like who? Kaitai Tara Blazer or Bikuri Biktoso Bechutz or Biktoso Bifib. Yal Bikuri with one basket. Part of it is inside, part of it is outside. I said one basket, but let's just say now without a basket. You have fruits, part of it in, part of it out. Everything outside is still chuli. It's not bikurim. So it becomes also only once it comes to Yerushalayim or to Beis Hamikdash. That's the shita that it belongs to there. There is the Ritva has a discussion over here regarding Eged Kli. If you remember in Shabbos, we learned when you have one vessel and the vessel has some fruits on the right, some fruits on the left, is considered to be all in one place or not. So the Ritva wants to compare the two, and the Achri discussed that maybe Shabbos is different than Bikurim. Says the Gemara, Olav Sheshes. Bikurim Anocha Ba'akeves Be'em, Kriyo Ein Ba'akeves Be'em. So we talk again, end of the daf, is Hanocha. Hanocha is to put the fruits down. Kriyo is to read the Bikurim. You have to put the fruits down next to the Mizbeach. You don't have to do Bikurim. Kiban, in order for it to be Yotze. Kiban, Kaitana, the Tanya, Rabbi Yisrael, Shloisha Dvorim, Yeshu Shloisha Skadim. Basically says three things that are three Skadim, and one of them is the following. Rabbi Shmuel Omer Yachol Ya'aleh Odo B'Yis Shedi B'Zman Hazeh B'Yerushalayim V'Yuchlen. Should a person bring B'Yis Shedi today to Yerushalayim? Now, why should you think to bring it? V'Dinu B'Chor Tov Navas Makoim U'Mayis Shedi Tov Navas Makoim. The reason not to bring it. Bechor needs, when you have a bechor, an animal that was bored first, so you have to bring it to Yerushalayim. Next to Shei, you have to bring it to Yerushalayim. But bechor no elu b'fnei abayis, av ba'is elu b'fnei abayis. Say the bechor was only when you have Beis Hamikdash, so ba'is only when you have Beis Hamikdash. But the bechor she can talk about the dami v'ibur the mizbeach. The bechor you need to put it in the mizbeach. The bechor doesn't have to put it in the mizbeach. So the bechor b'chichu. So let's learn ba'is for bechor. But the bechor she can to hunim hanocha. The have to put it next to his bech. Right? So you don't. So here you see that Anoch is required. That's the right. The same person refers to Ma'aser Bechor together. So what we mean, so if you have the Kush get to Kriya Anocho, why you mention only Anocho? Mention also Kriya. You have to do Bikur Bikur. So you see from here that this Madama holds only Anoch is by Kevis, not Kriya. Ashi, the Kubaleko, Mitzvah Vileko, the Leo Mitzvah Lifra. So, well, listen, everybody agrees they have to do Bikur Bikur. The only question is it Be'akev or not Be'akev? But you need it. So, why don't you just say, you know why you can't compare Ma'aser to Bikurim? Because Ma'aser, you don't have to do Kriyo, Bikurim, you have to do Kriyo. It's not Be'akev, but you need to do it. So, why not mentioning it? So, what you're saying, Arayo, the Kriya is not Be'akev, the fact that Bryce doesn't mention it. But why should the British mention it if it's not Be'akev? Hello, Avashkiv, and the could be Kuria Ger, the Baila Berosh, and Ishba Hashel of Sedu. For the Matzi Omar, Loi Psika Le. Well, I'll tell you why. The Ger, you don't see me could be Kuria. Why? Because it says, Asher Ishba Hashel of Sedu. Ishba to our parents. And the Ger, you can't say Sedu because their parents were great. So a Ger cannot be Bikur Bikur. I want to say Bikur because not everybody says Bikur. Only Yisrael says Bikur, Yisrael for birth. And not a ger. That's what it say. And here it brings us into a discussion, which we discussed regarding the idea of a ger. Can a ger say Shishbal Avisedu? We have the Yushalmi that says that a ger could say Shishbal Avisedu because Avraham Avinu is called Av Hamor Goyim. So therefore a ger could say Shishbal Avisedu. And we have the fascinating Rambam that the difference between Bikurim where the ger could say it and Ma'aser not, because by Ma'aser it says, I got the Nachal Eretz Yisrael. So says that everybody asks, most of Bikurim says Shasata Lono. So what's it to Bikurim and Meiser? And there's a lot of Torah about that, which we'll leave at a different time. So one second. You said, let's go back to the Brisa. The Brisa said, the Meiser, could you bring it to Yerushalayim? Let's learn from Chor. You can't learn from Chor because Chor needs to go to his Mizbech. Let's learn from Bikurim. You can't learn from Bikurim. You have to put it next to his Mizbech. So you can't learn from either of them. Why can't you learn from Tzad HaShavim, the common denominator between the two? From Bechor and Bikurim. So the motion the equal bit fact about Tzad HaShavim can be Yesh Tzad Mizbech. You learn. They both need to do something with the Mizbech. Bechor needs to put the blood in the Mizbech. Bikurim needs to put it next to the Mizbech. So yeah, they're not exactly the same, but they're somewhere similar. If he holds that the Kedusha Rishona remains forever, so why you say Bechor you can't bring it to Yerushalayim today? You learned from Bechor that the same way you can't bring Bechor to Yerushalayim today, you don't bring Ma'aser to Yerushalayim today. Why can't you bring Bechor to Yerushalayim? If you hold the Kedusha Rishona Kitcha Shaisa Kitcha Los and Lovely, you could bring Bechor to Yerushalayim today. As Rashi says, so you could bring it. If you hold the Kedusha is not Kodesh, so then what? So here comes two Girsas. Our Girsa, which is Girsa of Rashi, is so also by Bechor asks the same question. What would be the question of Bechor? Do we say by Bechor, that you bring the carbon today or not? What do you mean? Of course, what's the Shiloh? So explains Rashi that the Gemara is building up what the Gemara is going to say in a moment. That's what's a little doichak in this Girsa. We're talking about a carbon was karev, when Beis Hamikdash was kaya. And then Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. Can I eat the Bechor even though I don't have any more Beis Hamikdash? Do you say that now I sprinkled the blood, so it's okay, and now I can eat the Bechor? Or you say no. And why? Because Gdusha Shei Kitchen Size of Kitchen Los and Love, I still have Gdusha. Or you say, no, the Ma'aser, I don't have Beis Hamikdash. So the same question of a Ma'aser, you have Bechor. That's a Rashi learned. And according to that, the Gemara continues, it says, Amar Avino, Lo Elam Kasor Gdusha Shaitz of Lo Kitchen Los and Love. There's no Gdusha Los and Love. We're talking about the case according to Rashi, which you said. It's interesting word that I mentioned before. He threw the blood, the Beis Hamikdash got destroyed, and now you have the meat. So how do you know you don't eat it? So now the Gemara tells you, I'll tell you why it's a hekesh. The same way the blood needs to be at the Mizbech, because that's when the Mizbech was there. So also the meat, you have to have a Mizbech kind. That's the libut. And from here you learn to be Bikurim. The same way to Meiser. The same way by Bechor you have a hekesh to tell you that you can't eat the meat when you don't have blood. So also by Bikurim you have to have, you can't eat the meat if you don't have the Mizbech. The same with the blood needs the Mizbech. So also by Meiser, you learn hekesh, you have to have the Mizbech. Why? Just to explain the whole dynamic, because how can you compare Bechor to Bikurim? Bechor, you need to sprinkle the blood of the Mizbech. A technical thing that's stopping me. So talking about the Bechor was sprinkled the blood of Mizbech. It was already done. And now all I left was with the Masa. Says the Gemara, Ubakish Bais LeBechor. If you hear Ubakish Bais LeBechor. Say what? So I have a problem. We have a did, but something that learns Be'ekesh cannot teach Be'ekesh. We're by Kotcher. First says here it's Kotcher. So therefore, I'm learning Bechor meat from blood. Now I would have learned Meiser from Bechor. So it's Hekesh from Hekesh. So the word Meiser not good Chulidu. Meiser is not considered to be Kotcher. It's Chulid. Says the Gemara, Daf Yechezkel base. How do you go based on the one who's learning? Meaning, by Hegdish, we have a din. Hegdish, which is learned by Hekesh, cannot teach by Hekesh. But if the teacher is Hegdish and the one who's learning is Chulid, like here, that the Bechor is learning is Hegdish, learning Basar from Dan. Now, Meiser is Chulid, learned from Bechor. So because it's a Chulid, it's okay. You go based to the teacher. If the teacher is Egdish, Keller Ekesh or Ekesh, Michael Abeba, it's not the Ekesh, it's one thing. The Ekesh just teaches you that Da'abasa is one thing. And immediately, I'm telling you that the same way blood needs to be Mizbeach, Basa needs to be Mizbeach, so it's not considered to be a Ekesh. So I have only one Ekesh to teach you about Mice. So this is the Shak V'tah according to Rashi. Just going back, Tosis had a problem with arguers. So according to arguers, so the Gemara is asking, Gemara says, if you hold Dushu Shek, Dushu Shais, Kishos, and Lovoi, so B'chor also you should be able to do. And if Dushu Shek, Kishos, Shais, and Kishos, and Lovoi, I have a question of B'chor as well. So Tosis asked a few questions. First of all, what's the Maskana? Maskana is like Kishos, and Lovoi. So it says the Gemara, what's the Gemara saying before? Could I bring Meiser to Yerushalayim? Why should I bring Meiser to Yerushalayim? Yerushalayim is not Kodesh. There's no Kedusha Yerushalayim. And then, and also he's asking that if you hold Kodsha, Tiyoma Kodsha Misachim Chor B'Labais. He says, he says, the more Mash because of the Hekesh, so that's why I don't eat the B'chor. That's not the reason, he says. He says you cannot eat if you don't have a Yerushalayim. Right? So Tosis is a different gear. So Tosis gear says, V'sova loy Kodsha Meiser Novi. Whereas like in Kodsha Lasid Lavoy, so Bechor she should be able to make today. If loy Kodsha Lasid Lavoy, so Meiser as well. You should. What's the question? Of course, you can't bring it to Yerushalayim because there's no Kedushas Yerushalayim. That's the question of the Gemara. So the Gemara loy Kodsha. That's what the Gemara was asking. Right? It's on the Hashem. So the Gemara says. So where it says the maybe Kedushas Abayi is Kodsha, Kedushas Haaretz. No, you can't eat the car in 5 minutes. No, mommy has to leave it. Take yes. That's fine.
So, WCO, they want a credit card, but
I get that. Okay, so he says, "I'm Kedushas Abayi look at yours, Kodsha Lovoi." So Tosis says that the So what is the answer of the Gemara? It is Gushos in Love. So really, you should be able to bring the Yerushalayim. But you have a Hekesh of Bechor to Meiser. The same way Meiser, and so you have Meiser to Bechor. Say Bechor, you have a din that I need to have the Mizbeach. If I know the Mizbeach, I can't do it. So Meiser have to do it even though you have Kedusha. So according to today's, the Maskana of the Gemara is that Yerushalayim is Kodsha in Love. Is Kodsha Silovi, and all the Kedushas are, it's not Kodsha Silovi. Yerushalayim is Kodsha Silovi. So, according to Rashi, the Gemara asks, is it Kodsha Silovi or not? If it is Kodesh, so you should be able to bring Bechor today as well. If it's not Kodesh, so Bechor should have a question. So, it's not Kodesh, and Bechor don't have a question because I have a Hekesh. According to Tosis, the question was, is it Kodsha Silovi? So, Bechor as well. It's not Kodsha Silovi, so what's the question about Meiser? So the Gemara it's Kodsha Lavoi, and the reason why I can't do it because it's special Hekesh, and I learn Meiser from there. That's Tosis. So this is just to end this the Kudo that comes out according to Tosis that Yerushalayim is Kodesh Lavoi, and Eretz Yisrael is not. And that's exactly Eretz Yisrael is Kodesh, and Yerushalayim maybe not. That's what Tosis says clearly. And he says. Because Tosis asks, what's even the question? How will you have Meiser? Meiser is only there to show. He says, Kedushas are just low bottom. Of course, you have Kedushas there to show. I just Kedushas of Meiser have a suffix. So according to Tosis, it could be you will have Kedushas to show, but not Kedushas Beis Hamikdash. And that's what the Rambam says as well. The Rambam says clearly not like that. The Rambam says the Kedushas Yerushalayim always stays because it depends on the Shechina. Kedushas Yisrael goes away, depends which part of Eretz Yisrael, and maybe we'll discuss this Beis Hashem in the Shor Machshav on the Daf. Says the word that this was based in the third line. Kodesh Kadoshim, it says in the Mishnah, the Kodesh Kadoshim, Kodesh Kalim, outside Yerushalayim. It says the word already had the previous Mishnah. Tirei Chanazim, I say shady the egg, the Shaloi Nivdu, you can't eat out of Yerushalayim. Avisiva Chanino, Steve Bais, a shady Tor, Vegaver Tor. Talking about the both Tor. The Kalachi Chutzachim. That's the problem, eating out of the Chayim. Ratio, as a shady Tobe, Vegaver Tobo, Vekarchli Yerushalayim. The ratio that says Shaloi Nivdu. We're not talking about eating out of Yerushalayim. We're talking about eating in Yerushalayim, but they're tummy. Says the Gemara, we know the B'chayim Alei. How do you know Yechayev? says regarding what he says in Maestros. I did not burn it Tomei. Ben Shani Tomei Vu Torah, Ben Shani Torah Vu Tomei. Nobody's Tomei. Ve'echad Muzar Lechilo. We're a Muzar on the Chilo of Meiser. What? Oh, sorry. Ve'echad Muzar Lechilo. Where's the Azara on the eating of the Meiser? 80 year day. I don't know. I don't know where that Azara is. So go to a good bandixi. It says it clearly. Never should think of it there, but lawyer could be a country. That's clear. You're not allowed to become Tommy. And the Tumas also be nice. Well, you're right. If a person is Tommy, can't eat, we have a clear puzzle. But how do I know when the person is starved that he's not allowed to eat the Meiser, which is Tommy? It says don't eat in your outside your gates. Regarding what? Regarding the got a move, got a blemish that you redeem, it says you can eat it even though you're tummy. So Masha, there you're comparing the two. It says here don't eat it out of the gates. Here it says you do eat it out of the gates. Here it says don't eat it out of the gates. Here it says Sharech Tochlet. And there it says Tom Torah. So there it says you're allowed to eat it. The Tom and the Torah the same bowl. You have a bowl. You have a regular. You have a meat. You have a meat. You have a meat abchor, and they can touch each other. Even though, sorry, you have two people eating for there. Tomei and Torah. The Tomei will make the bchor, the meat Tomei. Still say you can eat it. There, when you redeemed it, I'm allowing you to eat it. Hear that? So you learn from here, Isser not to eat a basar that became Tomei. We know the Baped. You already know that you can redeem it if it's in Yerushalayim. We always know the rule of Yeshiva, you can redeem only outside Yerushalayim. How do you know that if it's stubby, you can redeem it in Yerushalayim? So you can't the pasuk of the pasuk is what the Torah says. Where does the Torah say you can redeem? It says the pasuk if the way will be very far. Then the pasuk adds the words kiloi tuchal say sorry, which mashma you can't carry it. So then you go to redeem it. What does the words kiloi tuchal say sorry? You can't carry it. It says as elachim. So even though the pasuk means you can't carry it, the drasha is you can't eat it. Why? Because it's stubborn. Maso means to eat, you can't eat it. So from here you learn that if you can't eat it because it's stubborn, you'll redeem it. How do I know that if it's star and it's outside Yerushalayim, even one step? It doesn't have to be far away, miles and miles. You can redeem it. Meaning you can't eat it because it's outside Yerushalayim. So the same words, so you can't eat it. The first drasha should be darasha if it's stubborn. Second drasha is because it's not Yerushalayim. Once you're out of Yerushalayim, you can't eat it. So how you buy like an Ablazer, you have to need for Ablazer that said what? That says go to Chal Seisoy, that it is for when it's stubborn. Just so you can't eat it. I say soy. So you learn for you can't eat it for Tomei. What is it? Because you can't bring it to Yerushalayim. Because you're not in Yerushalayim. It's only for that. I say soy. You learn both. Right? So he says, right? So he says, so because, sorry, I said this because of achilo. You can't carry it. And this says you can't bring it. It's not inside. So once it's outside, you can't technically bring it. You can't eat it. You can't take it. So we know you talk. You look at both things. Say so is lo shalachilo tishuv it's stubborn. The other say so is that it's outside Yerushalayim that you can redeem it. Yossi, Rav Chanina, Rav Shayo, the Karibayim. They asked, according to our Gilso, what did they ask? If it's in the edge of Yerushalayim, what happens? And Alimur explains. He's inside, and his carry the load is outside, the fruit is outside. So he's if he's outside, the fruits are inside. So the Kaltur Bechitzas, the Bechitzas of Shalayim already received the fruits, and you can't redeem it. Who be feel, but so good is the opposite. He's inside, and his fruits are outside. Ki chag b'chol avokoim says ki yuchag b'chol avokoim mi melu ocho, which means, what according to Rashi, milocha means bilu means a person that is low. So if any part is outside Yerushalayim, so it's not Yerushalayim. Milucha means he's in Yerushalayim, it's outside. The load is outside. You know what? You know what I did? Rashi says Milucha. Look at Rashi. Rashi says Mikol Milushacho Vasash Lo Dochosh Milui. Totei Bimcho Mikzoscho. Akashta Biftiu Vasrav Afim Lo Yochak Avokoy Milucha V'Shulo Yivtivdei Ela V'Chal Dashom. So Rashi learns that. In other words, according to Rashi, you learn that you're not allowed to redeem it. Why? Because Milucha means that part of you is outside, but here you're all inside. It's only your masa. So therefore, you can't redeem it. So the world looks from here that if the person is carrying a load, he's inside and the load is outside, he can't redeem it anymore. What happens if it's not literally on him? He has a long stick, and the bikurim are hang outside. Is that considered to be part of him or not? It's more takeaway. But this would take. Now, just one interesting thing, if you look at the Ois Gimel, the Bach doesn't like it say that they asked him at Pitcha Yerushalayim. He says they were singing Pitcha Yerushalayim. Yosef Chanir Rishaya at Pitcha Yerushalayim, they're singing the entrance of Yerushalayim, and they asked. You can just imagine, they're singing the entrance of Yerushalayim, saying, what happens over here? Someone is here, and his fruits are here. He's there, and his fruits are there. Where it says Milucha. Milucha over here, we have different sources we should have to learn. We learn Rashi. Rashi says, as long as he's inside, even though his master is outside, he still can't redeem it. Some we should learn differently, but we'll stick here with Rashi. But what comes out over here? Comes out like this. When a person is in Yerushalayim, you can't redeem the fruit. If a person and his fruits are in Yerushalayim, you cannot redeem the fruits of Yisrael in Yerushalayim. But his fruits are outside, you could redeem it. Only if he's carrying it on him and the fruits are outside, then he can redeem it. And the Kiddush is, don't think that only if you're very far away from Yerushalayim, you can't redeem it. Even if the fruits are one step away from Yerushalayim, you cannot redeem it. Okay, we'll stop over here. We'll continue from here, Be'ez Hashem, tonight. I'll send exactly the time a little later. Have a good day.
Have a great day.